So, I made the point in my paper that Halloween costumes, have evolved over time because, for one thing, the purposes behind them have changed over time. You know what I mean? Um, Originally, Halloween costumes, I guess you could think of them as the first Halloween costumes, but it wasn't really considered Halloween yet. It was essentially winter solstice, where the bridge between the nether realm, I guess you could say, and our world became thinner and thinner and thinner until eventually disappeared. Our worlds were just kind of like intermingled together, and there were spirits all over, and God knows you didn't want a mean spirit coming after you. I mean, if your grandma died and, you'd done something, not so nice, and she came back and she was scolding you, you don't want that. You don't. No. So, what people did was, and for a couple of reasons, some people wore costumes of, animal furs and feathers and, things like that. And they would dress that way because they believed that it would scare the spirits. I mean, like, if a spirit was scared of you, why would it approach you, right? So that was one theory. And I'm having trouble remembering the other one right now. There was another one. It was similar to that, but not quite the same. And, you know what? I'll edit it in. I'll look it up and edit it in. I should know this, but I really don't. I do, but I don't. I can't remember. I'll edit that in. But that was those were the main reasons for dressing up. And, Rolf, stop! Get your nose out of that. I can edit that out. Okay, that was before it was considered Halloween. This was just winter solstice. Halloween was actually a holiday brought forth by the Catholic Church. So for you people out there who are convinced that Halloween is the devil's birthday, I'm not going to say you're ignorant, but you're ignorant. Anyways, no, you don't have to celebrate it, but don't say stupid stuff like that. Just don't, because it's not true. Halloween was a holiday instated by the Catholic Church because they didn't really like that people were still celebrating, I guess, pagan rituals, I suppose. And they decided that the day that people were celebrating all their pagan-y stuff, they said, okay, no, here's what's gonna happen. What we're calling this is, there's All Saints Day and All Hallows Day, which are the same thing. And then, of course, the night before that was All Hallows Eve. Hallows literally means, like, sanctified, holy. That's what it means. Hallows. Holy Eve. That's what it is. Okay? So, that is what they called it, All Hallows Eve. And eventually it kind of evolved into Halloween. Legitimately, that it evolved into Halloween. People just started calling it that. Hallows Eve, Halloween. And, because it was kind of an abbreviation, I guess, of evening. Just like Eve. Whatever. But, that's what people started calling it. And, people still kind of clung to the old way. Clung? Is that a word? But they stuck to the old ways, and they were still dressing up in costumes. Well, to make that seem more holy or whatever, the church decided they would, on All Saints Day, dress up as saints. That's what they did. They paraded around dressed as saints. And I mean, it was crazy. So that's a brief little history lesson on how Halloween started. Obviously, it has evolved into something much different now. It doesn't really have, well, I guess unless you're a crazy religious bigot. Not that I'm saying if you're religious you're a bigot, you're not. But there are some people out there who are. Unless you're one of those people, it's really just a night for fun. I mean, it's for fun, frivolity, you know? You just You dress up in a costume, you hang out with your friends, eat candy, but be safe, because, stuff, you know? There are crazies. There are crazies out there. I'm not going to deny it. There are crazies. But, that's what it is now. I mean, like, Halloween costumes evolve from, as I stated in my paper, cultural, historical, and literary ties. I mean, like, I'm convinced that you can tell me, like, any costume, and it will in some way be related to one of those three things, because that's what we connect everything to: our culture, our history, what we read about, what's in the, you know, things like that, you know? When I say culture, I mean both, like, culture. This is going to be a bad explanation because I'm not being very eloquent right now. But I mean, like, culture depending on where you are, and also culture like pop culture, stuff like, have you ever seen a Lady Gaga costume? Pop culture, right there. Pop culture. It's everywhere. Sometimes, you know, the categories, culture, literature, and history, sometimes they even overlay, because, you know, it's just how it works, dude. It's just how it works. So I'm going to give you a few examples of these kinds of costumes. For one thing, there are a lot of things that you can accomplish with costumes. Sometimes it doesn't even take a whole costume, you know what I mean? I mean, like, just elements of a costume. Sometimes just accessories, sometimes just the costume itself, sometimes even just a hat will do it. I mean, seriously, look at this. Princess! Witch! Maybe I'm a good witch, maybe I'm a bad witch. Who knows? A mouse. A really, really beloved cartoon mouse. My brother just went to Disney World. He got me these and a Pascal plushie. You know Pascal the chameleon from Tangled, the Rapunzel movie? If you haven't seen it, you're lame. Look at me, I'm a cat! One of my favorite things about costumes is that you don't necessarily have to go out and, like, buy a costume. There are plenty of people out there who make their own costumes by, like, sewing them. Like I already said, I could not do that. I would seriously sew my fingers, like, to the fabric. Someone would have to come and, like, cut me out. It'd be bad. It'd be bad. But I mean, I have made my own costumes before, except not really, because Hannah did it. My classmate, Hannah. She's awesome. She's my friend. I love her. I love her so much. She's like my best friend. And, you know, we went to see Wicked, the musical, and being the dorks we are, we decided to go in costume as Elphaba and Glinda. Yes, it was awesome. I was Glinda with black hair. I know. Continuity error, but whatever, okay? It was cool. We met the cast. Some of them. It was fun. No, but you know what? She made my Glinda costume out of this. Hold on. This right here. And this. Now, I'm sure you're not quite able to make out what it was I just held up because it's kind of hard to see on camera. They're both rather large. I'll post in a picture so you can see what the finished effect was. But what I just showed you was a tutu and a piece of my mother's wedding lingerie. I know. Weird, right? Weird? Yes, totally weird. But what Hannah and I found is that if I wore the tutu and I had not a shirt, but like a camisole on underneath that wasn't like flashing anything, but if I wore the tutu plus the shirt and then we layered the lingerie over top of it and cinched it in at the back, it kind of looked like not necessarily, it was very Glinda-esque. It was no copy of an actual costume, but it was very Glinda-esque. And that worked, you know? I mean, so if I can turn, you know, if me and Hannah can turn a piece of lingerie and a big, fluffy white tutu into a princess dress, why shouldn't you guys be able to do something like that, you know? So here is an example of one of my historical costumes. Now this is just about as historical as you can get, because I got it at the, when we were in Williamsburg, visiting Busch Gardens. We also went to, Colonial Williamsburg, and they had a dress shop, of which my father said, no, you're not getting a dress, you're not getting a costume, you are absolutely not getting it, fine! Exact quote. So, my dad, as he always, ever often does for me, bought me a costume, a dress. I'll take pictures of all these costumes. I'll take pictures and post them in so you can actually see them better. But this is a dress from Colonial Williamsburg, and it's like pretty much as real as you can get. I mean, it's made out of the right material. There's no zipper. It's all buttons. See, going down the back. You have to button it up. And I think the only thing that may be a little bit pushing realism, and I could be wrong, is the lace on the sleeves. I could be wrong. That totally could have been the thing back then. I don't know. But to me, that's the only thing that seems a little bit weird. I've also got an example of pop culture. Spider-Girl. Yes, I have been Spider-Girl before. Recently. And this is my Spider-Girl costume. Whee! Yes. So Spider-Girl, that is an example of pop culture. For my literary costume, I have this right here, which I will definitely have to take a picture of because it's in 2 parts, so it would look funny otherwise. Blue dress, white collar, white apron. Alice in Wonderland, my friends. Alice in Wonderland. Now, see, this is one of those costumes that kind of borderlines, because Alice in Wonderland, what comes to mind? It may be the 1970s Disney animation version of Alice in Wonderland. Totally fine. That's cool. That was the first time I'd ever experienced Alice in Wonderland. It may be the books by Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Ooh. That's another thing I collect, by the way, Alice memorabilia. Just realized I hadn't mentioned that in the first video. But, no, so that may be what you think of, the Lewis Carroll. Or you may think of the 2010, I think, film by Tim Burton, starring Mia Wasikowska. And this may be the dress you think of. Yes, I have 2 different versions of Alice dresses, one of which is more traditional, and one which is pretty much an exact replica of the dress used in the Tim Burton movie. So, I mean, you see what I mean? That's pop culture and literary ties right there. And you know what? Historical, too. That meets all 3 because, you know, Alice in Wonderland takes place in Victorian England. You know. So, bam, we just hit the jackpot of costumes. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. And that's it for this one. Tutorials will probably start next, and I hope you guys really, really enjoy them. Bye.